fabulous fundraisers. It's me, Kelly Russell. For those of you who may not know me yet, I have been a professional fundraising auctioneer and fundraising host for the past 16 years. I am the owner and founder of Artisan Auctions, an auction agency here in Portland, Oregon, and we specialize in virtual events. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have hosted over 91 events and raised over $23 million. Not only do we host a lot of virtual events, but we watch a lot of virtual events, and we have seen the entire spectrum of hosts out there. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to share the 3 most important questions you'll need to answer when you're hiring your fundraising host for your virtual gala, plus a few extra tips to make sure that everyone is super successful for maximum profits. Question number 1, how watchable is their on-camera energy? This is important. When you watch their past events, do you like the on-camera energy enough to watch them for 30 to 60 minutes? That's what you're going to be asking your audience to do. So put yourself in the audience shoes and try and imagine how they're going to react. Because you need energy and excitement, but you also want a host who can be enthusiastic without being extra. A lot of fundraising hosts, including myself, come from a background in live events. We're used to being in super large spaces and projecting our voices and our energy to the back of a room, like the back of a ballroom, and that's hundreds of feet away and requires just an absolute ton of energy. Virtual, however, is totally different because the camera is like a microscope and it exaggerates all of that energy. If a host performs the same way on camera during a virtual event as they would on a stage, it is just way too much.
Get it all now during Crazy Eddie's greatest stereo sale ever. Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane.
The energy and excitement that you need on screen is generally very dialed back from what you would see on stage. The reason this dialed back energy still works with virtual is because everyone gets a front row seat. So there's no need to project to the back row. On the other hand, we've also seen events where the host's energy was too controlled. If the energy is too low or the pace is too slow,
the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the... Anyone?
The event can end up dragging on and feeling really dull. So make sure you're choosing someone who can hit the sweet spot in terms of delivering genuine excitement and energy. I recommend reviewing 2 to 3 recorded virtual events featuring the hosts that you're considering. Will your audience enjoy watching this person for an entire event? If the answer isn't a resounding yes, or you're not sure, keep looking. Question number 2, do they have the fundraising chops to drive revenue? You do want to raise money, don't you? Yes, you want someone with a great personality and on-screen charisma, but being good on camera will only get you so far without the skills to talk money with your audience.
Describe your perfect date.
I'd have to say April 25th, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
For example, your local news anchor or local celebrity may be super comfortable in front of a camera, but if they don't have the experience with getting viewers to make donations and stretch their generosity, you may end up leaving thousands of dollars on the table. This is where having a host with professional fundraising experience like a charity or benefit auctioneer will mean a huge increase in your bottom line. And you can still make the most of your connections with local celebrities and news anchors by inviting them to join your fundraising host on camera as your event MC, just like you would at a live event. Fundraisers know how to raise funds. If you want to raise the most money that you can, you need to find a host who knows how to graciously motivate people to open up their wallets, someone who can keep the pace moving and knows how to create momentum. Question number 3, will the fundraising host and their team represent you and your organization, or will they make it all about themselves and their own business? This one is especially important to me. I feel very strongly that your fundraising team should never outshine your organization. And essentially, our team becomes your team. Chat is a big component during our virtual event, so we always use a chat room cheerleader who can help keep the chat conversation flowing and focused. Our approach is to have the chat room cheerleader log into your event as your organization, so everything they type in that chat window will be heard as your organization's voice and not ours. Plus, our cheerleaders follow a predetermined outline that syncs up with your host script. That way, they're sure to hit all the most important points with plenty of room to freely banter with guests and respond in real time. And that way, you and everyone on your team gets to sign in with their own name so you can chat directly with your donors. Here's what one of our recent clients had to say about it.
I just never felt like you guys were ever trying to bolster your own reputation. Like in the chat, you spoke as us. You weren't Artisan. You weren't your brand. Your brand came out through our event. You guys were never a vendor to us. You were a partner and part of our team. And that's what I think that's like the special sauce, you know?
It was such a joy to work with Lauren and the team at ORS. They increased their revenue by 30% and had incredible attendance with over 550 people watching. So, when you're in the process of finding a host and reviewing some of their past events, here are some things to look for. Are they acknowledging the donors' names as the gifts are coming in? That's important. Are they being gracious as they encourage people to keep giving? Do they seem genuinely excited about the mission and about the money? Are they standing? Because if they're sitting, beware. Are they making the event all about you or about them? Do they seem familiar with the script as they deliver it, or does this seem like it's their very first time reading it? How well are they driving momentum without big lulls or distracting tangents? These are all the things you want to take into consideration before you select your fundraising host. Now, let's talk about a bonus tip for getting the best fundraising host for your event. Book early, book early, book early, book early. Oh my goodness, I cannot say this enough. Just like with live events, auctioneers often book a year in advance. And it's happening with fundraising hosts at virtual events as well. And even though the landscape is still developing on what events will look like in the coming months and years, virtual galas are not going away, even once we can gather again in person. Once you've found someone you want to work with, I recommend you find out their availability and your venue or broadcast studio's availability and coordinate these simultaneously. That way, you'll have the best shot at securing the very best vendors for your needs. Speaking of vendors, I want to share my top recommendations for reliable vendors that you can trust with your event. Preferred vendor number 1, the AV department. We love the AV department. For filming safely in studio setting, the AV department has been a fantastic partner for our virtual events. They have several dedicated studio spaces in Portland, Oregon that are set up perfectly for either 1 or 2 live presenters, complete with teleprompters, studio lighting, great microphones, a friendly production crew, and they can help anyone nationwide. Preferred vendor number 2 is Field Guide Films. When it comes to pre-produced content for your virtual event, like your crucially important direct appeal video, our very favorite production company is Field Guide Films. Field Guide specializes in fundraising videos that consistently move people to give big, and they film all across the US. Preferred vendor number 3 is Greater Giving. Their software brings together everything you need to keep track of your auction and appeal data, your donors and all of their gifts, and so much more. Greater Giving really does a great job of making it easy for donors to give. And preferred vendor number 4, you know them, you love them, it's Swaim Strategies. Their team provides full service events, and Swaim Strategies make sure that no part of your event gets overlooked. They create the script for your whole event, they negotiate your vendors, they make sure that everything runs smoothly from beginning to end. That way you can stay focused on cultivating donor relationships and pre-committed donations leading up to your event day. Now, go out, get the best host for your event, and get raising some big money.